The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
My mind, my lips, and my heart. A man with leprosy came to Jesus begging him, and kneeling said to Jesus, "If you choose, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him and said, "I do choose. Be made clean." Immediately the leprosy left the man, and he was made clean. Then Jesus sternly warned him and sent him away at once, saying to him, "See that you say nothing to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses commanded as testimony to the priests." But the man went out and began to proclaim it freely and to spread the word, and people came to Jesus from every place. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
There's a firmament over the earth. It is fixed. It is a border. It's not unlike a dome between earth and heaven. The earth is flat. To sail to the horizon would cause certain death for the sailor who would fall off the earth. The earth is the center of the universe. The sun, all planets, all stars, everything revolve around us. We no longer believe this. What changed? Did God change? Or did humankind's thinking have an evolution of understanding? I start this way because in Leviticus, we hear about the leper. And we find an ancient way of thinking regarding lepers. They were considered vile, unclean. They had to wear a bell around their neck to warn others of their approach. They were shunned, outcast, and judged as unworthy. They were treated like some sort of mangy animal. Fast forward to today, and we find humankind has recognized that leprosy is a curable disease called Hansen's disease. One with Hansen's disease can and should fully participate in society. They should receive dignity and respect as children of God. So again, I ask, what changed from the time of Leviticus to today? Did God change? Or did human understanding change? We can see this migration of human understanding very clearly in the approximate 1,000 years between the writings and times of Leviticus and the time of St. Paul. Consider carefully the change in humans' understanding and the change of heart. As Paul tells us today, whatever you do, avoid giving offense, whether to the Jews, to the Greeks, or to the Church of God. Respect everyone in every way, not seeking our own benefit, but the benefit of the many. Be imitators of Christ. What changed between Leviticus' time and the time of Paul? What was the significant difference when Paul walked among us and when the authors of Leviticus walked among us? Jesus Christ. We hear in Revelation and in another Corinthians passage, Christ has made all things new, including the human heart and our understanding. So consider now what we heard in today's gospel. Jesus not only acknowledges the leper, Jesus allows the leper to approach and even engages in conversation with him. And then, a shock to the people who were with Christ that day, he reaches out and touches the leper. So, here's our reflection question for today. Who are the modern day lepers? Who are the ones who, through no fault of their own, are judged as unclean, are shunned, who have unfair social practices and even laws that forbid them from full participation in society? I've shown this picture before in the past. It's a painful one for me to show. This is a picture of my brother, Ricky. I think an example of a modern-day leper, considered unclean and untouchable. If you can see the bedding around him, he is in Roosevelt Hospital in New York City in Manhattan. And in that era in the 80s, the nurses would not touch him. The doctors would not touch him. In fact, as we visited his family, they wouldn't even go into the room because they were so scared, like the people in Leviticus' time regarding the lepers. He was shunned. He died. He had AIDS. Consider the shrunken face and the frailty. Look at his hands. He had long fingers. He played classical piano. He loved Bach, and he played it so beautifully. And yet he was not cared for. Society in that era was afraid, and in his case, in my opinion, he died for lack of care. He died for lack of heart. Who else can we put on the list? Who are the other lepers of our time? My brother Ricky, who was in Capuchin Seminary, I know was touched by Christ, literally. His heart was. There's a list I could give that is old because we talk about that list so often. But I would say, like in the Catholic Stewardship Appeal video, are the lepers of our day the homeless? Hair disheveled. Perhaps they don't smell too good. They're people that many avoid. They go to the other side of the street when they see them. The last thing many will do is reach out and touch them. What about migrant workers? I heard a profound documentary recently by the Dairy Association of the state of Wisconsin. And without migrant workers who have no rights whatsoever, they come and they go, some illegally. Without them, our dairy industry in this state would not exist. What about children not fed? 35,000 of them every day die. No rights, no participation, shunned by insensitivity. Paul's second reading today to the Corinthians is also a reading to us. And his last words were, "Be imitators of Christ." And my suggestion is, as this piece of art with my superimposed brother's head on the body of the leper, let's reach out and touch somebody. It's not a matter of money. Certainly that's important. But it's a matter of love. Let's have unity with the lepers of our time. And let's love them and show them we love them by touching them, embracing them, welcoming them. Amen. I left something here and I meant to put it there so I wouldn't forget it. I want to give another example of God not changing, but our understanding of God changing. I just opened this before Mass. It was very good news. I think I've mentioned before, I thought this was going to happen, and it's happened. This letter begins, it's with a sense of confidence in our shared faith that I renew your appointment, Deacon Sandy, as parish director at St. James and Good Shepherd in Menomonee Falls. At your request, this appointment beginning June 19, 2021, is for a period of 1 year and can be reviewed for a new renewal. When I became your parish director in October of 2012, many of what I thought was true, I didn't think the earth was flat. I didn't think Good Shepherd was the center of the archdiocese. But clearly, my understanding of God, the bigness of God, the arms of Christ, the wide arms of Christ have changed significantly. And I give thanks to the Archbishop. I give thanks to God. This has touched my heart. And I pray that Christ, through me, our priests, our ministers, touch your hearts as well. It's not often you get a homily with 2 closings.